Joanna Jedrzejczyk looks to reclaim her throne in the strawweight division and hopes she will return to action in the UFC this year. The former champion hasn't fought since March 2020 when she lost a razor-close split decision to Zhang Weili in a back-and-forth war voted Fight of the Year. Following that loss, Jedrzejczyk took time off, making a number of appearances at home in her native Poland. But it appears she'll be back in the octagon sooner rather than later. During a recent interview, Jedrzejczyk revealed she's currently targeting a rematch against Zhang for her first fight back in the UFC, though no timeline has been determined for her return. Everyone thinks I'm not in the UFC anymore. I am. I just dropped out of the ranking because I haven't fought for a dozen or so months, but I'm coming back and fighting. It will probably be Zhang Weili. According to Jedrzejczyk, she spoke to UFC President Dana White about her next fight, and apparently was offered the opportunity to sit and wait until late 2022 for the winner of the proposed title bout between reigning champ Rose Namajunas and Carla Esparza. While no date has been booked yet, Namajunas and Esparza are expected to clash in the first half of the year in a rematch after they first met at the Ultimate Fighter 20 finale back in 2014. During a recent livestream on his YouTube channel, Michael Bisping was asked about Dan Hardy potentially making a return to combat sports. He had the following response. I haven't heard a comeback about Dan Hardy, but what I have heard is Dan Hardy talking about coming back since fucking 2010 or something like that. I hope he does come back. I'd like to see him back. Good for him. But you've either got to do it or not talk about it. You can't just talk about it for 10 years. Chael Sonnen is requesting that fight fans get behind former UFC champion Cody Garbrandt instead of giving him a hard time following his KO loss at UFC 269. Garbrandt made his flyweight debut last month at UFC 269 in Las Vegas, where he collided with perennial division contender Kai Kara-France. Despite appearing to be in phenomenal shape for the contest, Cody ultimately suffered a first-round knockout loss to the Kiwi. The brutal setback marked Cody's fifth loss in his last 6 fights, with 4 of the losses coming by way of knockout. Due to his recent rough stretch, many pundits were calling for Cody Garbrandt to hang up his gloves. With that said, Cody has made it clear that he has no plans of calling it a career, and even suggested that a fight with Sean O'Malley is looming. Garbrandt's call-out of Sean drew criticism from some fight fans, as O'Malley is currently boasting a winning streak and competes in a higher weight class. However, for former UFC title challenger Chael Sonnen, the time is now for fans to get behind Cody. Cody Garbrandt came out in an interview and said something I found confusing. He said that he felt great at 125 pounds, but that a fight with Sean O'Malley was looming. That's tough. I read that thing, and then I read it a third time. You're 125 pounds, and Sean is 135 pounds. These two things don't go together. Anyway, I believe Cody is the best 135-pounder the world has ever seen. You want to give me a hard time about that? Go ahead. I believe the Cody Garbrandt that beat Dominic Cruz can beat any man that can tip the scale at 135 pounds. Some fighters' title reigns aren't long. Some guys don't defend and redefend and go on to defend that thing 5, 6, or 7 times. Those guys that do, wow, there's a real adoration for that, but it doesn't take away from the guy who did it one time. So the rules are different for Cody Garbrandt as I see them. When you become a world champion, the rules are now changed. Cody doesn't have a whole bunch of options. You want to give him a hard time for calling out O'Malley? He doesn't have a lot of options. Fight or not fight? What do you want to do? This is a world champion who is desperately trying. That's what changing weight classes, doing whatever it takes, taking on all comers. He's desperately trying to recapture something. Let's get behind that. Let's not give Cody a hard time. Paddy Pimblett has hinted that he'll return to action on the card expected to take place in London in March, but it seemingly won't be against Donald Cerrone. Since Pimblett's debut victory at UFC Vegas 36, there's been plenty of speculation about his second fight and next opponent. The most prominent rumor surrounded a potential clash with UFC veteran Donald Cerrone. Talk of that clash first appeared after Chael Sonnen suggested Cowboy had told him of his interest in facing Paddy. But during a recent appearance on Michael Bisping's Believe You Me podcast, Pimblett said there's no truth to the idea, suggesting it would make no sense for the promotion to book him on a US card just weeks before they reportedly head to his home country of England. It's going round everywhere, but there's no truth to it. Nothing on my end. Do you really think that the UFC are going to put me on a card on the 5th of March in Vegas when they're doing London on the 19th? It doesn't make sense. I think that was just Chael having a little go for some clickbait or something. It started with Chael. Pimblett is certainly eager to make the London walk on March 19th. He further told Bisping that an appearance on the card, which is already set to feature his teammate Molly McCann and fellow UK prospect Jack Shore, is happening. I would like to fight in London, in front of my home crowd. It would be sick. That's what I'm guessing will happen, and that's what I've been told, that me and Molly will be fighting on the same card. That's happening. I'm gonna take someone's head off again in the O2. I'll announce myself once again. Despite the UFC's expected return to London being just over 2 months away, Pimblett says he's yet to hear anything from the promotion regarding a potential opponent. But whoever he's matched up with, the fight is certain to have an electric crowd watching on inside the O2 arena if the London card comes to fruition.